Hello, everyone. We have amazing Samantha here with a great story. And without much of introduction, go ahead. How did all that started, and what are you doing?
I don't like to use the word personal stylist because it doesn't actually explain what I do. Essentially, I help people to use their wardrobes as a business tool because if your wardrobe isn't helping you to make money, it's not doing its job properly.
Excellent. How does it start? Because I don't know anybody who do that. And
Yeah.
does it? Can you live from this?
Oh, yes, I have a very extravagant lifestyle. I have to keep myself in nice shoes, of course. Yeah. I was I was a newspaper editor actually, which is very different than what I do now, but I was a newspaper editor. That is a very in the UK male dominated industry, and I was the first female newspaper editor to edit a number of publications in 160 years. So I felt like I had quite a lot of pressure on my shoulders, and I was dealing with quite a lot of misconceptions about a woman doing that job. So I started to use my wardrobe as a tool for confidence and also for personal brand because I could see that journalism was going through a huge digital revolution, which meant that journalists were going to be paid not just based on how good they were. I was never the best, I won't lie, but on their personal brand. And on personal brand, I was really good. As I was doing that, other women in business started to ask me for help because wearing clothes is a one thing that we all have to do every day for work. We can't be naked. Depending on what your job is, you can't be naked at work. It's very cold. In the UK, it's freezing right now. You
Mhm.
have to wear clothes, and yet it's the one part of business that no one ever helps us with. We don't talk about it. We say that it's silly and frivolous to care about it. And yet, studies show that not only does it affect our performance at work, it also affects how people perceive us. So, I guess to your point about you don't know anyone else that is doing is because, yeah, I'm that delusional person who decided to make a business out of this, but it was because I could really see the need for this specifically as a woman in a male dominated space, which is happening more and more and more because, as we move on in time, more women are getting into those senior roles. It felt like something that was very much needed. So I
Mhm.
decided to go ahead and do it.
Well, excellent. Uh, how long are you doing that?
I had this idea many years ago, but like many people, I thought to myself, that doesn't sound sensible. That's really silly. That's not a job. That sounds like a hobby. And so I continued on the trajectory that I was on because I had worked really, really, really hard to become a newspaper editor. And I was great at that, but it wasn't ever really my zone of genius, which is what I would do now. So in the pandemic, things got very stressful because the media was relentless. It was a 24/7 job, and most of my team had been furloughed. I was literally working on like sports stories at some point. So I was like, I don't know anything about football. What is this? And I got really unwell, and I had to go and see a doctor because I had psoriasis, which is an autoimmune condition. It was in my eyes, it was horrendous. And she said to me, you can't carry on like this. And that was a moment that was a real light bulb where I thought, now is the time to start working on this thing. So I went full time in my business at the end of 2022. It has by no stretch been easy in that time. And I did not feel at that point ready to make the leap. But I'm not sure that you ever do really feel ready. I think people think that one day they will have saved enough money or they'll be in the perfect position to take the leap into their business. And that's really not how it goes. You have
Mm.
to kind of make the decision from where you know that you want to be, not from where you are right now. So yeah, this is my third year full time in my business.
Do you think that today is the easiest time ever in history to start your own business?
Oh, what a brilliant question. Do you know what? We see on LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere else, a lot of people starting their own businesses. In reality, it's not the case. Most people are employed. So, still, when you start your own business, particularly when you're doing something that, like what I'm doing, which is not traditional, you are still going to come up against the barriers that there are to that. And also, in terms of everyone starting a business, there are a lot of women with their own businesses. In the grand context of time, this is still very, very new. I mean, it wasn't in the UK until the late 1980s that women could have their own businesses or that they
Mhm.
could get mortgages without a cosign of a man. So this is still very new. And I think they will get easier and easier and easier the more that we demonstrate that it is possible. But also, we do have technology on our side. I think there's a real opportunity, and sometimes we aren't always grateful for it. We don't use the tools that we have available in the best way that we could to actually generate, what you can. LinkedIn is a free business tool. I've grown a successful business from this free business tool. That is incredible.
Yes, I think a decade or two ago, you should have, I don't know, billboards, TV commercials, newspaper ads, or things like that that cost a lot of money, to take you a lot of time. Today, you can post consistently on LinkedIn, and everything changes. You have eyeballs on your content, on what you're doing, and I think this is the like I asked, I think this is the easiest time to start a business. I don't say to run a business, I mean to start.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Because to run a business, that's my second question, is uh, how many times a day do you doubt in what you're doing?
Literally every minute of the day. There have been times where but I'm quite a dramatic person, which people may gather. And there have been times where I'm like, this isn't working. And I dramatically open Indeed jobs. And then my husband has to be like, come on, we both know that this is just a drama. You need to take a nap. But I
Mhm,
think that it's normal. You are navigating new things all the time,
mhm.
and starting a business is the biggest course in personal development that you will ever go on.
I
It's you
agree.
you have to learn so much, not just about business but also about yourself, and you have to be so resilient because it is hard. It's not easy. We see a
Mhm.
lot of stories of overnight success. That's not a thing. Anyone that you see with any form of success is taking them a very long time, a lot of commitment and dedication and resilience to keep going to get there.
Yes, one of my friends posted the other day on LinkedIn that business people or entrepreneurs are like normal people, and I disagree totally with that. I think we have to be a little
You have
crazy.
to be a little bit delusional to do this because it
Yeah,
is,
absolutely.
and also to do it when other people who are still very much in the old way of doing things will consistently tell you how crazy you are. I mean, when I started my business, people that I knew, and they were doing it, I guess, from a place of love because they cared, were saying to me, "Are you okay? Are you okay, hon? Are you like, have you gone crazy?" And then a few years later, they will see how well you're doing and they will say, I'm so proud of you. I look at all your content. Not that you like any of my content, Susan. I see all your stuff and you're doing really well. So you have to be able to believe in what you're doing so much that none of that matters, which is
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like. I see it from the perspective then when somebody says, okay, it couldn't work, it will never work. And I say, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. And that's the empowerment for me. But a lot of people are not like that, because if five people tell them, okay, it's not going to work, they feel, okay, it's not, and they listen to them instead of saying, okay, I'll prove to you that it's not true what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you, that it gets me. If someone tells me I can't do something, I'll be like, watch and learn. I did not come this far not to do it. And growing up, I did not grow up in a very nice area. And my dad, to his credit, some people would say that it's tough parenting, but he really did. He'd say to me, like, you're not competing with this life here that we have. You're competing with the kids down the road who have all of the luxury and privilege. You've got to like keep going. He made me very strong and determined. And then when I got into newspapers, I had an interview for a job, and at that time these jobs are very hard to come by. So there were about 100 people applying for a job, and I got to the interview and I was wearing it was just a raspberry colored shift dress. It didn't really feel like it was nothing. It was just a smart business dress. And the editor said to me, I think you're too into fashion to be a serious journalist. So that was like a red rag to a bull. So I went out and I found 5 stories that he then used in the newspaper. And he essentially had no choice but to like give me the job, because I'm going to prove you wrong. And when I eventually got promoted into a job that was bigger than his, he did admit that he had judged me wrong. But that's the whole point about style as well, is that we assume that you can't be both things. You can't enjoy what you wear and also be an intelligent person. It's this real, I exist in the nuance between those two things. And that is very jarring for people, because we assume that people who enjoy having nice shoes can't also care about what is happening in the world.
Mm. Yeah, that's crazy. Yes.
But yeah, to your point, very much, if you are an entrepreneur, I think you have to have a little bit of you have to be a little bit delusional. You do. You're delusional,
Yeah,
because everyone around you will be telling you how delusional you are until they are telling you how incredible it is that you've achieved what you have.
exactly. Okay, before we jump into your profession, what was the best advice you have ever received about entrepreneurship?
Oh my God, this is a big question. Do you know what? I don't know if there's one piece of advice. I think that I have got a lot out of being in spaces with people who demonstrate what it is, and that where you can basically go in and get feedback on your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings. That is really helpful. And I found massively that being in those kind of spaces, investing in being in those kind of spaces, has hugely helped the growth of my business. Because if you're working on your own on something, you feel a little bit crazy and something bad might happen. Like, let's say you get a complaint or someone is nasty to you on LinkedIn, which has happened to me more than once. It would be very easy to let that spiral into, I'm terrible, I'm rubbish, I can't do this, I need to be quiet. Whereas if you have spaces that you can go into and receive support and feedback and objectivity, you're going to deal with that and move on. And in the moving on, you become a better, stronger version of yourself. So there's probably not one piece. There is one piece of advice actually that I've come back to time and again this year, which is from my mentor. And it is, you can't build a brand on borrowed magnetism. And I really love that one, because in the online space, it's very easy to get swept up in what everyone else is doing. You open LinkedIn, oh, so and so's talking about this, someone's talking about that, that's getting really good engagement, maybe I should do that, instead of taking your brain on a walk and thinking about what it is that you want to say. You can't build a brand on borrowed magnetism. So stop trying to be like everyone else and just be yourself.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. I like that. So, what do you think about mentorship and things like that? Because I think I'm doing the coaching and things like that, and usually people who need coaches don't get them, and people who hire me already had coaches and know what does that mean. And I think it's like every top athlete has a coach, or sportsman. It's similar to the entrepreneurs. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
For me, it is a non-negotiable to have coaching, because when you start a business, you are dealing with all of this other stuff that comes up. So you will have stuff from childhood that has informed how you now feel about money and yourself and all of the things that you think that you can achieve. So to me, having a coach is literally a non-negotiable.
Mm, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh, Now to your profession, uh, how do you start? And do you only work with women or also with men?
I have worked with some men. I generally currently only work with women. That's not to say that men don't need this support. But I find that there are so many women that I need to help. I just can't help everybody. There is no, as with coaching, I guess, there is no set qualification that you have to do in order to do this job. Obviously, you kind of need a bit of a sense of style, right? You can't, I'm a stylist and I don't care about what I wear. But I also got coaching qualifications because I found that so much of the work isn't about clothes. It's actually about how you feel about yourself. Your wardrobe is a physical manifestation of your thoughts and beliefs. So it's really important that we look at your clothes through the lens of what are they saying about you, and not just here's a red jumper, here's a blue dress. It's what is this saying or telling me about how I feel about myself.
Excellent. So, do you somehow sometimes feel like psychiatrist?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm insane, so I'm delusional. Yeah. That's the thing with clothes. It's actually psychology, because that's what your wardrobe is. You've made choices about the things that are in your wardrobe based on subconscious beliefs. So often when I'm working with someone, we don't even touch the clothes at first. We're looking at what is your first memory of style? What made you feel like you couldn't be XYZ? What is your relationship to money? Because often the money mindset that we have and the style mindset we have are very, very linked. And often your clothes are sometimes people have clothes in their wardrobe that they don't wear because they represent this one day version of them who they want to be and they never quite become. So a lot of my work is in helping someone become the version of themselves who they really want to be. And
And can wear that clothes.
yeah, and then wear the because so there's a psychological term called enclothed cognition, which means that your clothes inform your behavior,
Mm.
but it only works if you wear the clothes. So the clothes have to have symbolism to you. So that t-shirt has to represent something, and you have to wear the t-shirt in order to get the effect. So it's no good you buying something really cool and then hanging it in your wardrobe and never touching it. You
Mm.
have to wear it in order to become the person who does whatever it is that you want to do in your business. So this is how clothes are a business tool, because when you get up in the morning and you put clothes on, if they're clothes that make you feel like that next level version of you, you are going to take actions that that person takes. Whereas if you put on clothes that make you feel like an old potato, you are going to take old potato actions.
Mm. Mm. So, we know that, for instance, Steve Jobs and people like him were wearing the same clothes day after day after day. What's your take on that?
I love it when people say to me, Steve Jobs didn't care about what he wore, so why should I? And I was like, no, 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 no. Steve Jobs is an example of someone who really cared about what he wore. He cared so much about the cognitive load of choosing what to wear that he went through an entire process of creating a uniform for himself. He really cared about what to wear. I mean, also, there's the question of privilege because Steve Jobs was a billionaire white man, right? So, what is okay for him to wear is not still in the world that we live in okay for other people, but it's also the fact that he wasn't wearing stuff that was fast fashion. He's wearing really good quality things, and he came up with that look because he understood that what you wear matters. So people will often say to me, oh, Steve Jobs didn't care about what he wore, so it doesn't matter. But he did care what he wore. He literally went to Japan and worked with the designer Issey Miyake to come up with the turtleneck look that he had.
Excellent.
Yeah. Boom.
uh, so, if you would start the business again, or if you would advise somebody younger, for instance, or even older, but the beginner, what would you do? Or what would you advise? Or would you do something different than you did?
I would believe in myself a hell of a lot more than I did, because at first I made the mistake that many entrepreneurs make of basically charging nothing and being like, oh, it's okay, you can have it for free. And then what happens is you attract in people who are disempowered. They're not going to get the results because they don't have skin in the game, and you aren't talking to someone with the mindset of a winner, right? So I would believe in myself a lot more, and I would sort out my pricing a hell of a lot earlier, because you're undercharging. And as someone who is what I would describe as a high level buyer, I sense when someone's energy is off, when it feels like behind the scenes someone doesn't quite match up with what it is that they are putting out there online. And I will often look at people's pricing and think, this just doesn't feel expensive enough to me. If I'm going to make an investment in a new coach, I want to know that that coach has the belief in themselves and the belief in the results enough to charge at a level that feels stretchy. And this is interesting because it's not even just business people this applies to. Someone that I know in my family, she has a job where fitness is really important. So she was looking for a new personal trainer, and she had these two personal trainers. Both did exactly the same thing. They even looked the same, but she went with the more expensive one. And this person has never had any business training. So I found it very interesting. And when I asked her why, she said, I felt like the personal trainer who charged more had much more confidence in themselves. And therefore, I was more confident in their ability to help me get the result.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, if I want to work with you, how long would it take me to be in your program, or how does it look? How do we start?
It depends on what you need. I have close proximity one-on-one clients where we will go through the process of deciding what their style strategy is going to be, because if we don't have a roadmap, we're just buying clothes for no reason. I have worked with clients who've worked with personal stylists before, and through no fault of the personal stylist, they've gone out and bought new clothes, and a year later they're not wearing the clothes because we haven't addressed, first of all, what we're doing this for, and secondly, any of the mindset stuff. So we have to do that bit first. Then we will go into your wardrobe, and I'm looking at your wardrobe like a detective. So I'm seeing what is going on here and what that's telling me. And then we will get rid of the things that don't align with the vision, bring in a few things that do, and just make you feel really confident in your ability to style yourself in your personal style. One of the biggest barriers is getting people to trust themselves. They do this thing, particularly women, where they'll put on a piece of clothing and then they will ask someone else, does this look okay? And at first it's a bit jarring for them, because my answer back is, why are you asking me if this looks okay? Does it feel great for you? Yes. Then you don't need anyone else's permission. But because we are taught from such a young age to outsource our power, we are doing it all the time with our style without even being consciously aware that's what we're doing. So that's like one-on-one. And then I have some group programs, which are instant access. So you can go in, there are modules taking you right the way through the foundations of style, essentially. And then we'll have some live Q&A and calls. And I really love creating community spaces, because the people I work with are incredible. And I love it when they become friends and they start working together. That's like the dream for me. I don't know why, if you're a business owner, a service provider, and you aren't creating spaces where like-minded people are able to collaborate like that, you are missing a trick, because your business is not just set up for you to make money, it's also set up to do bigger, better things in the world, right? So why would we not be allowing that to happen in our communities?
Yeah, exactly. So what's usually the length of working with you?
It depends on the client. I have some clients who I've been working with for about a year, and we've moved from this stage of their business and now they're like aiming for really great big things. Initially, I'll start with someone privately with 4 sessions. So generally that will take place over a 3-month period, just so we can make sure that we are really like aligned with the vision. And if we're in the group, there are 10 modules inside the program that I run. And then we have Q&A for about 4 weeks, twice a year. But obviously people can come into that at any point and access the stuff. So they can just get started on it straight away.
Excellent. What I heard from what you told me is one thing, people will have greater vision from working with you. And one of the things is, I believe that what you said before, we were taught to outsource our power to others instead of seeking it inside of us. And if you help them or us find it, I think that's worth every penny you earn.
100%. It helps you make money. We were saying before we went live that if you have a really important meeting tomorrow and you go to your wardrobe and it's just a place of stress and frustration, you pick out the one shirt that fits you, and then on your way to the office, you spill coffee down your shirt, you walk into the meeting, you're not in very good energy, you aren't going to put your best self forward, and ultimately you're going to lose out, whether short term on the sale or long term in terms of your career. You're gonna miss out. And the more that we can see our wardrobes not as clothes but as the physical manifestation, the more magic we can create from using them as a business tool.
Excellent. Though I have to tell you an anecdote from my experience. I was showing a business software at the kindergarten, and I spelled coffee on my shirt, and I use it as a tool. I said, okay, I'm here exactly where I needed to be. You just have to accept me in the kindergarten. and they actually bought that at that time, so it was great.
You're showing
it's not
your
always a catastrophe.
Right. Yeah, showing your authenticity, I guess, which is also important, because I'm not saying to anybody, I'm not giving anyone an extreme makeover, which I do think people worry about. This is me helping you to be more you. It's not me saying you have to wear this and forcing you into things that feel really uncomfortable. That's not what it's about.
Excellent. I like that. Okay, we are about the end. It's 30 minutes of great talking is over. What would be the last thoughts or something you want to tell the listeners?
I would like people to go into their wardrobe and take out one thing that they don't like and they don't wear. It's surprising how many of those things you are holding onto in your wardrobe. Get rid of it. All that thing is doing is making you feel bad. That is not the energy that we need if we are going to run successful businesses in 2025. So go into your wardrobe, get that thing and get rid of it. And for extra accountability, message me and let me know that you've done it so that I can celebrate you.
Right. Thank you for a lovely talk. I really enjoyed it. And I think we all have some aha moments from this. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've loved it.
Bye.